Hello, and welcome to the Presenter Mastery Podcast. I'm Lucas, CEO of Headgain and amateur speaker.
And I am David, the expert in speaking.
Yes, and together we're your weekly guides to unlocking the power of presentation skills. And today's episode, David,
Yes.
we are talking about self-doubt.
Ooh, one of my favorite subjects.
Yes, self-doubt can be masked as imposter syndrome. You could call it that you have low self-esteem. You could call it a lot of things. True. What do you call it?
Yeah, right on the money, my man. Absolutely. I think the interesting thing is to ask ourselves, what is it, right? What I love in anything I do is to ask myself, why? So when I started with public speaking, my first courses in presentation skills were around like the psychology of communicating and learning styles. Do you remember learning styles? Like visual, kinesthetic, auditive, tactile?
But I haven't talked about it since
Gartner and all that.
Yeah, I think last time I heard about kinesthetic learning was middle school.
Yeah, and the 7 intelligences. That was my focus on my first course like 24 years ago. But then I asked myself, but why does this work? Right? So I dived into the neuroscience of it. And then I'm like, but why does that work? And then I dived into the biochemistry of it. And I'm like, but why does that work? And I dove into the genetics and the evolution of it. Because I cannot stop asking why. It's the same thing here. What is self-esteem and why does it work the way it works? So if we deep dive into that, we can find that it's associated with a substance called serotonin, which is a neurosubstance. And that is connected with social status. So what has been seen in primates, because it's very hard to measure serotonin in humans, is that the primate which is highest in the hierarchy, say that there's 30 primates in a group, the one that is highest is the alpha, has the highest level of serotonin. And the person or the ape or the primate, which is at the lower part or the lowest part of the hierarchy, has the lowest amount of serotonin. So the entire hierarchy is built on, serotonin. Where does that come from? Well, if we look at the person at the very top, that person is content, can literally reproduce with any other mate, gets to choose where to live, gets to choose what to eat, right? Full control, serotonin levels are high, their social status is high. Wherever they go, wherever they walk, other primates look at them and go like, wow, right? And then you have the very bottom. They cannot choose who to mate with. They cannot choose what to eat, and they never know where they're going to sleep. They could kill a rabbit, and they're like, woo, I killed a rabbit. And then this big primate, the top primate, goes like, that's mine. They never know if they're going to have something to eat. So they're constantly stressed compared to the first one. And this is in any company. You can go from the top CEO to the person working on the floor. The top CEO will have a higher level of serotonin, and the one on the floor will have a lower level of serotonin. All right. So based on this, our social status is impacted by who's around us. Okay, so I'll give you another example. You, Lucas, you're phenomenally good at darts, right? Okay. Now, tell me something that you suck at.
Oof. Dancing.
He's so good at so many things. Right. So imagine Lucas. He's not very good at dancing, right? And also, he's like a little bit ashamed of that fact, right?
Yeah. Which is quite true, actually.
Which is quite true. All right. And you work as the CEO of this company.
Yeah.
So your day is going to look like this. You wake up with your family. Your social status there, imagine it's fairly good. So you ain't got a problem there. Like
your dog looks up to me.
Your level is stable. Your kids look up to you. Okay, so you're probably higher up in the hierarchy. You're content. Your serotonin levels are flowing. You're feeling okay. Yeah. You come to the company. I think your significance and serotonin levels increase even higher because people see you as the CEO, the main boss. Your social status here is super high. Okay, but then the day comes to an end. And you, for some unknown reason, you end up at a dance floor. And you're doing your best, but everyone around you is literally experts in dancing. And nobody knows who you are, and you don't know really who they are, but you just feel how your social status is tumbling down to the lowest point, and you look at all these people around you who are so excellent in dancing, and the entire audience, they're looking at them, nobody's looking at you. No. Some people are looking at you, but they got this big cushion in front of them, they're like, oh, that's horrible, please stop dancing. And you go like, you leave that place, and your mood has dropped, because serotonin is connected to mood. Okay, and your self-esteem has dropped because,
jeez, I'm getting sweaty hands just from thinking of this.
Relative to who's around you, your social status just dropped. Okay, because you're no longer the big dog. But then you end the evening by going to your darts club, and when you walk in there, Lucas, you are so good that when you walk in, people start whispering. Right? They turn their heads. And you can see they look at you with admiration. Your entire stance changes. The way you walk changes. Suddenly, from the corner, somebody starts with an applaud. Slow clap. Just because you entered the room. And then you go like, it's dart time, man. It's dart time. And you go 60, 60, 60, 60, 60. You do like just a clear run. You beat the heck out of everyone. There are salutations. There are applauds. You leave that. Your serotonin is so high, it can't go any higher. Because relative to them, your social status is now high. Okay, now I've explained the why and the background of this. Like, there's an evolutionary reason to this, and we're still impacted by today. Like, we can literally have a high... Well, you could be in the dark club. Your social status is super high. But then you open up your phone, and then you look at your social media, and somebody's... Or you posted something and people hate it or whatever, right? Now your perceived social status plummets again. So your entire day is more like a roller coaster based on who you meet and which social circumstance you're in. Now, back to presentations, okay? You're standing there down by the stage, and you're getting ready to go up. You feel very confident, so your self-confidence is high. You prepared well. You know your subject. You've attended to present a mastery, which is our training. So you know that you're freaking flawless at this. Your confidence is a 10, my man. Your self-esteem is maybe just a little bit doubting. Maybe it's at a 6. Maybe you're going like, oh, I don't know. Will they like me? Will I be accepted? I hope so.
I know we worked in training, but will it really work in real life?
Yeah. Will I, in this social status, get a high social status by standing on this stage, or a low social status? That's your question, really. That's where self-esteem comes from. So you go up on stage and you start well. You knock it out of the park, doing tremendously well. You can feel your social status increase 7, 7.5. You can see the eyes of the people, the eye contact. They're leaning forwards. They're making notes. They think you're important. So your perceived social status is increasing by each thing that you are saying. You're feeling an 8. You're feeling a 9. You're hitting a 10. The way they look at you is like you're a Hollywood star. Like you're the main being of this planet. That's what the way they look at you. And then somewhere mid-keynote, which is what I did. This is a true story, right? I started using the wrong name of the company. I started using a competitor's name. So instead of saying, you all at Microsoft, I said, you all at Apple. And I could literally see their faces, their entire respect for me just disappear. My level of social status in that social situation plummeted from a 10 to a 9 to an 8 to a 7 to a 6 to a 5 to a 4 to a 3 to a 2. I left, and I managed to fix it to a certain extent after, actually. So maybe I brought it up to a 6 again. But when I left there, it wasn't all the same thing. So my self-esteem had taken a hit. That is self-esteem, your own perceived level in the social ladder of the people that you're with. Okay. Now, some people have super low self-esteem. So before going up, their confidence is super high, but they may be questioning everything that they are. Things like they won't like me, I'm not a doctor, so they won't believe in what I'm saying, I'm not going to be respected, I'm not going to be accepted. And you start thinking back to memories when you weren't accepted or nor respected, and you're placing yourself at a 1. Your confidence is a 10 because you know the skill, you know the subject, but you don't believe in yourself, in that you belong in that social circumstance. So you're killing yourself. And that is seen when you walk up on that stage. They can see that in your eyes. They can hear it in your voice. Even if you've prepared for like 10 years, it doesn't matter, because if you don't believe that you fit or that you suit that social situation, you're smoked. I find this fascinating because self-esteem and self-doubt is just thrown around, but what on earth does it actually mean? It means your perceived level of social status compared to the others in the room.
So how do you fix it?
How do you fix it? Well, you could only hang out with people which you perceive that you have a higher social status than. Okay?
Easy.
So yeah, just get friends which you find that you are a higher social status being than. Yeah? No, absolutely. Hang out with those people. Well, actually, people tend out to get stuck in this, though, because they go like, I don't deserve to hang out with people with a higher social status than me. I don't deserve being with them. So they just avoid doing that, which means that they're constantly ending up as a 6, and they just hang out with people at a 6, and they don't grow from that. They've just accepted that they're a 6 in life, and that's it. So that's it. That's one solution. Okay? I don't know how progressive that is.
I think you find a place where it feels comfortable, right?
Yeah.
There is no reason for you to grow from it because you're feeling good. And for some, yes, that is enough. I mean, I know people that they live in the same area that they were born into, and they know exactly how everything works.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because of it's scary going outside, getting into being uncomfortable in new situations, doing something new, stepping outside of the chosen path for you. So maybe it is comfortability, and I'm good with this social status. Yeah,
absolutely. Because where they are, say in their neighborhood, they're the person who fixes everything. You plow the snow. You know, people look up to you. In your little neighborhood of 10 houses, you're a 10 in social status. Which means that you are that primate at the very top. No, you can't go around just picking whoever you want to reproduce with and whatever way you want to sleep. But literally, you have a high social status. So why venture out into the next neighborhood where your social status is a 7 or maybe challenged? Well, that's individual. It's up to every individual to ask yourself, do I want to challenge myself and the social status I have?
I just want to say it's also basically the same where it's time to change line of work, right? You go to a new employer and you come to this big employer with 500 employees, and then suddenly you are the one that doesn't know jack shit about this place, right? So it's people are experiencing this very often.
Yes.
As soon as they change something, as soon as they move to a new area.
Yeah, and I think that's a choice, or you can choose not to. Yeah. Okay, so there's a vaccine.
Yes.
And my friend, it's called self-love. The more you love yourself, the more you truly can look yourself in the mirror and go, you're an amazing person. The more you can do that, the less impacted you are about what others think and feel about you. So Maria, who's the one who does our mindset coaching in the Presenter Mastery program, I'd say that she's like an 8 or 9 in self-love. She when you give her compliments, she doesn't really listen. She nods, but she already knows that she's amazing, right? When she gets criticism, she goes, okay, I'll listen to that and I'll apply it. But it won't impact what I feel because I already love myself so much. So a person who has like really low self-love will be massively impacted by what other people think. They live for compliments. They live for it. Because compliments, every time they get a compliment, their social status increases, their serotonin gets a boost, boom. But as soon as they don't get compliments or they get criticism, they go down. So their entire life is like a roller coaster, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down.
There's a poor rule created for themselves about needing external confirmations to feel internal love and self-esteem.
Yes. So how do you love yourself? Well, the same way you hate yourself. You just keep repeating whatever fact you want to believe in. Yeah. So if you want to doubt yourself, keep on repeating self-doubt. If you want to hate yourself, keep on repeating self-hate. If you want to love yourself, keep on repeating self-love. How do you repeat it? Well, journal. Every time you go to bed, just journal why you love yourself. Or journal what you've done great today, what you've done amazing today. When you catch yourself being self-critical, say 3 amazing things about yourself, which you've done great. When you tend to compare yourself with others, take a step back and compare yourself to where you were a year ago or 2 years ago. Always compare with yourself, not with somebody else. But just become conscious about doing that and not running away with it. And the brain is so simple in its nature, and that is whatever you repeat, you will become. And it's the same thing here. So that is the vaccine.
It's so easy to the comparison, as you're saying. These last, 10 years now with social media increase year over year over year over year.
Yeah.
It's so apparent like how wonderful everything is for everyone else. And that's the comparison that a lot of people have.
Yeah.
And I know it from myself. I was very sick a couple of years back because I had the wrong references. I can see afterwards now that I was comparing myself to the situation of others and feeling that I didn't have enough or feeling that I needed more to be happy. So I made myself a rule where I would not feel happy or content or self-love or whatever the happiness feeling was until I did X. And well, if you don't allow yourself to enjoy the journey towards X, then it's there is no, well, it's an easy way to burn out. Let's just say it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the values and rules, that tool that you're talking about, we haven't talked about this on this podcast before. Yeah. But that's for another episode as well. But values and rules is just a technique within self-leadership and self-regulation to kind of, I guess, reprogram your brain. Yeah. Yes. So you have the vaccine, and then I'll give you another one as well, and that is when you're up there. Take my situation. I was a 10, started saying this wrong company name, fell down to a 3. I repaired it fairly, ended off with a 6. Left the stage. Said hi to some people, got in a cab, and then my mind started repeating my failure. How could you? Why did you? How sad is that? And every single time you do that, you just amplify that sensation of low self-esteem and that you are not worthy being in this situation, right? You're literally lowering your rank in the social status of society for each step that you take. You start going like, maybe I shouldn't be doing this, maybe I shouldn't be doing keynotes, you know? So the way to do that is to use another technique within self-regulation and self-leadership, which is called break the pattern, which literally means that as soon as you leave that stage, you say this mantra. Well, there's many ways to break a pattern. You can jump into a cold lake, and have a cold plunge. That'll break your pattern. But this one's probably a bit easier. And it's the mantra goes like this: I did as good as I could under the circumstances that I gave myself. That's the only thing. And every single time your mind wants to think about everything that you did bad, you just keep on replacing it with, I did as good as I could under the circumstances I gave myself. Optionally, I did as good as I could under the circumstances that were given to me. Any one of those two will do. And just keep breaking the pattern of thinking about the failure over and over and over again. Instead, think of how can you do it differently next time? What can you learn from this? All right, so that's self-esteem from an evolutionary, biochemical, and neuroscientific and psychological perspective. So I hope that has made sense to all of you listening. And also, I just want to make a note that the book that I've written on this, called High on Life, is now out in English.
Yep.
But it's coming out in a total of 32 languages. We got a new one yesterday, Romanian.
Oh,
yes.
Congrats.
Thank you. So you'll be able to find this probably in your native language, wherever you are. High on Life, search for my name. It includes what we just talked about. The book is about your internal communication, what you say to yourself to command yourself.
Yes.
Yeah. Smashing.
All right. Well, thank you, David, for yet another episode. And for you listening, I hope you found value in this. And if you did, and you have a revelation, do take a screenshot of the episode, share it on social media, and let us know. We would just love to hear how the impact of what you learn here is impacting your life and your own self.
Great.
Yes.
Good chat.
All right.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank
See
you
next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.